Happiness in life depends on the quality of one's thoughts. Our lives are not determined by external events, but by how we interpret and respond to them. If you can control your thoughts, you can control your happiness. People with a positive mindset not only find joy in small things, but also know how to turn difficulties into opportunities. Imagine two people in the same situation. Both have just lost their jobs. One falls into despair, constantly thinking he is a failure and that no one will ever hire him again. The other, although also disappointed, sees this as an opportunity to find a better job, learn new skills, or even start his own business. Who will be happier? Obviously, the one with a positive mindset. This proves that happiness does not come from circumstances, but from how we perceive them. Helen Keller is one of the most powerful examples of how mindset determines happiness. Born a healthy child, she lost her sight and hearing at just 19 months old due to a fever. For many, this could have been the end of a fulfilling life. But Helen did not let her circumstances define her. With the guidance of her teacher, Anne Sullivan, she learned to communicate, read, and later became a writer and speaker who inspired millions. If Helen Keller had only focused on what she had lost, she would never have found joy and meaning in life. Instead, she chose to focus on what she had: a will to learn, a love for life, and a desire to help others. This mindset allowed her to live a life full of happiness and purpose. Negative thoughts are the greatest barriers to happiness. Have you ever told yourself, "I'm not good enough, I will never succeed," or "life is unfair"? These thoughts not only lower the quality of your life, but also prevent you from enjoying the good things around you. A study from Harvard University has shown that people who consistently have positive thoughts tend to live longer, be healthier, and feel happier than those who are often negative. When you let negative thoughts control your mind, they not only reduce your happiness, but can also affect your physical health. Nick Vujicic's story is a perfect example. Born without arms and legs due to a rare condition, Nick once fell into deep despair and even considered suicide. But one day, he realized that his life was not defined by what he lacked, but by how he thought about what he had. Nick began learning how to live independently, appreciating small things in life, and turning his story into inspiration for millions of people around the world. Today, he is a renowned motivational speaker, helping thousands overcome their fears and find true happiness. The power of controlling thoughts has been recognized, not only by Marcus Aurelius, but also by many philosophers, psychologists, and successful entrepreneurs. Winston Churchill once said, "A pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity. An optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty." This means that two people can face the same situation, but one sees opportunity while the other only sees failure. One of the most effective ways to improve the quality of your thoughts is to practice gratitude. Take a moment each day to reflect on the good things in your life: a kind friend, a happy moment, or even just a peaceful morning. Studies have proven that people who practice gratitude tend to be happier, less stressed, and lead more fulfilling lives. Oprah Winfrey is one of the most powerful women in the world, but few know that she had a very difficult childhood. Born into poverty, she suffered abuse and discrimination, and she had every reason to become bitter. But instead of letting her past control her, she chose to focus on education, personal growth, and seeking opportunities to change her life. Today, she is a symbol of inspiration, helping millions change their mindset and find happiness. She once said, "Be thankful for what you have. You'll end up having more. If you focus on what you don't have, you will never have enough." This proves that it does not matter where you start. What matters is how you think about your life. If mindset determines happiness, how can we improve the quality of our thoughts? Practice gratitude daily by writing down at least 3 things you are thankful for. This will help you focus on the positive instead of the negative. Be mindful of what you feed your mind. Read books, listen to podcasts, and surround yourself with people who have a positive mindset while avoiding unnecessary negativity. Speak to yourself in a positive way. Instead of saying, "I can't do this," say, "I haven't mastered this yet, but I can learn." Live in the present moment. Do not spend too much time worrying about the future or regretting the past. Focus on what you can do right now. Practice meditation or mindfulness to gain better control over your thoughts and reduce stress. Marcus Aurelius was right when he said that a person's happiness depends on the quality of their thoughts. You can have all the money and fame in the world and still be miserable if you have a negative mindset. On the other hand, even in difficult circumstances, you can find joy if you have the right perspective. Your life is not determined by fate, but by how you think about it. If you take control of your thoughts, you take control of your happiness. You have the power to have no opinion about anything, and by doing so, you will find peace. Marcus Aurelius. In today's world, where information is overwhelming and everyone can express their opinion on everything, we are easily drawn into endless debates. We feel the need to react, to have an opinion, to defend our viewpoint against others. But the truth is, you don't need to have an opinion on everything. When you let go of the need to control what is beyond your reach, you will find true peace. Think about a person who constantly argues about everything on social media. He gets frustrated when he sees an article that contradicts his beliefs, spends hours debating with others to prove he is right. But does that change anything? Or does it just leave him more exhausted and stressed? A great example of this is Mahatma Gandhi. As a young man, Gandhi used to argue a lot, but later, he realized that peace comes from focusing on action rather than argument. Instead of trying to convince those who opposed him, he patiently carried out what he believed was right. In the end, it was his calmness and perseverance that helped him lead India's independence movement without violence. Pointless debates not only waste time, but also disturb our minds. Think about a time when you argued with someone over an unimportant issue. After the argument, did you actually feel better? Or did you just feel more irritated and drained? One of the key principles of Stoicism is to control what is within your power and let go of what is not. Another example is the story of Marcus Aurelius when he was emperor of Rome. He constantly faced criticism and disputes from officials, political enemies, and even those within his own court. But instead of getting caught up in meaningless debates, he chose to remain silent and focus on governing the empire fairly. If you are not forced to have an opinion on everything, why let unimportant things disturb your peace of mind? A modern example is Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors in the world. He rarely engages in debates outside of his expertise. Instead, he spends his time thinking and making decisions based on what truly matters, rather than being distracted by meaningless arguments. Peace comes from knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. Think about the Dalai Lama. He does not try to argue with those who disagree with him. Instead, he focuses on spreading compassion and wisdom. His inner peace is what has made him a powerful spiritual leader worldwide. How can we practice this in our daily lives? Start by being aware that you don't need to react to everything. When someone says something that upsets you, ask yourself, does this really matter? Is it worth my energy? Another inspiring story is that of Ryan Holiday, the author of many books on Stoicism. In the Daily Stoic, he shares an experience of being heavily criticized on social media. Instead of responding, he chose to ignore it and continue his work. The result? The criticism eventually faded away, while he maintained his inner peace and stayed focused on what truly mattered. When you stop feeling the need to have an opinion on everything, you free up a tremendous amount of mental energy. Instead of debating, you can use that time to improve yourself, pursue your passions, or simply enjoy life more peacefully. When you truly understand that not everything requires a reaction, you will discover a new strength within yourself. Marcus Aurelius realized this thousands of years ago, and if we apply it, we too can find peace in today's chaotic world. Do not waste time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius. In life, many people spend too much time discussing ethics, right and wrong, and how a good person should behave. They write long essays, argue on social media, or criticize others for what they consider to be a lack of morality. But in reality, what matters is not talking about being a good person. It is actually becoming one. Think about someone who constantly criticizes others, always condemning the behavior of those around him, but never living according to the principles he preaches. Meanwhile, there are people who quietly do good deeds without feeling the need to boast. In the end, who is truly valuable? The story of Mother Teresa is a perfect example of how action speaks louder than words. She did not waste time arguing about what it meant to be compassionate. She did not blame society or complain about the system. Instead, she acted. She cared for the poorest, the outcasts, the sick, and the dying. She did not talk about kindness. She lived it. Mother Teresa once said, "Not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love." This perfectly embodies the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius. Instead of debating how to help others, take action immediately, even in small ways. We often get stuck in endless discussions about how a good person should live, but we forget that actions are what truly matter. Imagine a group of friends arguing about the best way to help the poor. Should they donate money or invest in education? Meanwhile, one of them skips the debate and starts teaching underprivileged children for free. Who among them is making a real difference? Marcus Aurelius himself was a leader who believed in action over words. As Emperor of Rome, he could have simply issued orders and let others handle everything. But instead of ruling from his palace, he led his soldiers in battle, sharing their hardships. When Rome was struck by plague, he did not waste time blaming others. He focused on solving the crisis and caring for his people. His greatness was not just in the philosophy he wrote in Meditations, but in how he lived by those principles every day. Another modern example is Steve Jobs. He did not waste time debating what the future of technology should look like. He built it. While others were arguing about the potential of personal computers and smartphones, he and his team created the Macintosh, the iPhone, and the iPad, products that changed the world. Jobs once said, "The people who really want to change the world aren't the ones who talk about it. They're the ones who do it." This perfectly aligns with Marcus Aurelius' wisdom. So how can we apply this philosophy to our own lives? Stop debating and start doing. If you want to help your community, don't spend too much time discussing the best way. Just take action, no matter how small. Live by your values, instead of just talking about them. Don't just speak about honesty, be honest. Don't just speak about kindness, practice kindness daily. Focus on your own growth, instead of criticizing others for their shortcomings. Instead of pointing out what others are doing wrong, ask yourself, how can I be better every day? There's a well-known story of a humble philosophy teacher in Japan. He never engaged in debates about ethics or tried to prove that he was right. When his students asked, "How can we become good people?" he did not give a long lecture. Instead, he simply smiled, rescued a cat stuck in a tree, and walked away. His students watched and realized that sometimes the greatest lesson comes not from words, but from action. If you want to change the world, don't waste too much time debating what is right. Take action. The world does not need more empty words. It needs people who do what is right. Marcus Aurelius understood this thousands of years ago. If we apply it to our own lives today, we can become the kind of people who truly make a difference. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. The power of the mind is one of the greatest assets we possess. It shapes our lives in ways that nothing else can. The mind is not only the center of our thoughts, but also an infinite resource that allows us to face challenges, overcome difficulties, and build our future. Only when we understand the strength of our mind can we truly take control of our lives and prevent anyone or anything from taking away our peace and power. As Marcus Aurelius stated, no one can take away your mental strength unless you allow them to. Life will always present challenges, difficult situations, and people who may make us feel weak or powerless. However, the power of the mind is the one thing we have complete control over. When we learn to master our minds, no one can deeply hurt or influence us unless we permit them to. Take the story of Viktor Frankl, an Austrian psychiatrist and author of the famous book Man's Search for Meaning. During his years of suffering in Nazi concentration camps, Frankl lost his entire family and many loved ones. Yet, he held on to the strength of his mind. Even though he could not control what happened to him, he realized he could control how he responded. Even in the worst conditions, Frankl was able to find meaning in his life, and that helped him survive the pain and hardship. Frankl's story reminds us that no matter how difficult our circumstances may be, We can maintain our inner strength if we do not allow ourselves to be broken by external forces. His mind helped him endure, and his mental freedom became the key to building a meaningful life despite all the suffering. When facing difficulties, we may feel powerless, but if we look at inspiring stories, we will see that nothing can break the mind unless we allow it. Another well-known story is that of Nelson Mandela, who spent more than 27 years imprisoned under South Africa's apartheid regime. During that time, Mandela refused to let anything break his spirit. He used his time in prison to learn, grow, and shape his philosophy of peace and justice. Mandela understood that while his body was imprisoned, no one could imprison his mind unless he allowed it. He became a prime example of mental strength and the ability to maintain freedom of thought in any circumstance. Mandela's story, like Frankel's, shows that even in the most challenging situations, we can find the inner strength to rise above difficulties. The key is not allowing circumstances or other people to control our minds. We are the only ones who can decide how we respond to everything that happens in life. Our mind is a limitless source of strength, and when we learn to use it, we are no longer constrained by our circumstances. You may have heard the story of Thomas Edison, the inventor of the electric light bulb. Edison was not a genius from the beginning. In fact, he faced countless failures before finding the right solution. When criticized for his failures, he did not let those words weaken him. Instead, he saw failure as part of the learning and growth process. In one of his famous statements, Edison said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That is how he used the power of his mind to push through failure and ultimately achieve success. Edison's story is another testament to the idea that when we believe in ourselves and stay focused on our goals, no one and nothing can break our mental strength. Even when we fail or face obstacles, those with strong minds always find a way to rise again and keep moving forward. Another inspiring example of mental strength is the story of Bethany Hamilton, an American professional surfer. At just 13 years old, Bethany was attacked by a shark and lost one of her arms. Despite facing such a terrifying challenge, she refused to let this loss define her life. After a period of recovery, she returned to surfing and continued to compete. Her story proves that if we harness the power of our minds, nothing can stop us from achieving our dreams. Similarly, each of us can find the strength within our minds to overcome difficulties and challenges in life, whether in our careers, relationships, or personal struggles. If we do not allow external circumstances to affect our minds, we will always find a way to push forward. We may not be able to control everything in life, but we can control how we react to what happens. Our mind is the one source of strength that no one can take from us unless we permit it. Resilience, perseverance, and the ability to remain calm in difficult situations are the keys to our growth and success. Whenever you feel challenged, remember that no one can take away the power of your mind unless you allow them to. Keep in mind that you alone choose how you react to life's events and that you can control your thoughts and emotions. By doing so, you can maintain peace within yourself and prevent anything from breaking your inner strength. The stories of individuals like Viktor Frankl, Nelson Mandela, Thomas Edison, and Bethany Hamilton are just a few examples of how the power of the mind can help us overcome immense challenges and achieve success. And you, too, can find the strength within your mind to rise above hardships, not just today, but throughout your entire life. Life is never easy. Whether you are someone who lives in the city, in the countryside, or works in any profession, you will inevitably face challenges, difficulties, and failures. However, how you confront and overcome those challenges will determine the quality of your life. Marcus Aurelius, in his profound thoughts, emphasized that the obstacles and barriers on our journey are, in fact, the path that leads us to growth. Rather than avoiding or complaining about difficulties, we need to learn to see them as opportunities for personal development. Life, much like a river, is full of twists and turns. You cannot avoid difficulties, challenges, or failures. But if you change your perspective, those things that seem like obstacles can become great opportunities for growth. A famous, inspiring story is that of Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb. Throughout his research and experiments, Edison faced thousands of failures. However, instead of viewing these failures as setbacks, he saw them as important steps toward finding the light. Once, when asked about his failures, Edison responded, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Edison understood that the obstacles in his process of invention were not the end, but valuable lessons that brought him closer to his goal. Like Edison, whenever you face difficulties, you can consider them as opportunities to learn and adjust your methods. If you only focus on the failures and obstacles, you will not see the path ahead. But when you learn to confront and overcome them, those challenges will guide you to success. When you face difficulties, instead of giving up or blaming circumstances, view them as challenges to test yourself. You can find a parallel in the story of J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series. Before becoming a global phenomenon, Rowling experienced numerous setbacks. Her first book was rejected by several publishers, and she faced unemployment, loneliness, and poverty. Yet, she did not give up. She used those failures as a springboard to persist in pursuing her writing dream. After all, when the Harry Potter book was published and became a global sensation, people realized that those obstacles were, in fact, the path that led her to success. Similarly, whenever you encounter difficulty, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? The answer to this question is the key to turning those hardships into motivation. If you are willing to recognize them as an inseparable part of the journey to growth, you will always find the strength to continue. One of the most important things that difficulties can bring to you is the discovery of untapped potential within yourself. Only when you face challenges can you know your limits and push beyond them. Nelson Mandela, a hero in the fight against apartheid in South Africa, spent 27 years in prison, confronting immense hardship and injustice. However, instead of allowing these challenges to weaken his spirit, he saw them as an opportunity to develop mental strength and perseverance. After being released from prison, he became the first president of South Africa, ushering in a new era for the country. Mandela turned every day in prison into a step toward his greater goal. Mandela's story clearly shows that difficulties in life not only help you grow, but also help you discover potentials within yourself that you never knew existed. Instead of feeling pressure, use them to test your inner strength, and in doing so, develop and renew yourself. One of the most essential qualities that everyone needs to cultivate in life is patience. The difficulties you encounter are not always easy to overcome, but it is patience that will help you find solutions and overcome adversity. In the modern world, many people expect things to happen quickly and instantly, but real success comes from perseverance and persistence. Walt Disney, the founder of the Disney Entertainment Empire, is another excellent example of patience. Before building a powerful empire, he was rejected many times. Banks refused to invest in his project, and film producers didn't believe in his ideas. However, Disney didn't give up. He continued to pursue his dreams and eventually built a legendary entertainment empire. Looking back, we can see that it was precisely the hardships and challenges he faced that forged his patience and perseverance, helping him achieve remarkable success. Every time you overcome a challenge, you will feel stronger and more confident than ever before. You will realize that you can face any difficulty, and nothing is impossible. This helps you develop a strong mindset, unshaken by circumstances. Oprah Winfrey, the founder of the OWN Network and one of the most influential figures in the world, had to overcome a childhood filled with difficulties. She grew up in poverty, was abused, and faced many failures in her career. However, instead of letting these challenges break her dreams, Oprah used them as motivation to strive for success and eventually became an inspiration to millions of people. Oprah is a living example of using life's challenges as a tool to build mental strength, helping you confidently face any future obstacles. The challenges and difficulties in life are something we cannot avoid, but instead of complaining and fearing them, we should learn to transform these obstacles into opportunities for growth. As Marcus Aurelius said, the obstacles in the path become the path. Face challenges with strength, learn from each difficulty, and use it as a stepping stone to become a better version of yourself. Surely, each step you take through adversity will help you become stronger and bring you closer to success. Life is not always easy, but it is precisely those difficulties that will make you the person you aspire to be. Remember that life is short. Do not waste it on things that are meaningless. Marcus Aurelius. Our lives are truly short. Each day that passes is a step closer to the inevitable end that we cannot avoid. Yet, many of us frequently waste time on meaningless things, things that do not help us grow or create real value. Marcus Aurelius, with his profound insight, reminds us that time is the most precious resource we have, and it will never come back. Therefore, we must live with purpose, focus on what truly matters, and disregard things that are not worth our attention. When you're young, you might think you have a whole long life ahead to do everything. Learn, experiment, play, and even waste time. However, as you grow older, you'll realize that time is not something you can buy back. Imagine if you knew you only had 1 month to live. What would you do? Would you spend time with family, accomplish meaningful goals, or let go of relationships that don't deserve your time? Time is priceless and irreplaceable, and every passing day is an opportunity to do something meaningful. The story of Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, is a clear example of the importance of making the most of time. In his famous speech at Stanford University in 2005, Jobs shared his near-death experience when he was diagnosed with cancer. He said that when facing death, we realize that time is irreplaceable, and every moment in our lives is incredibly valuable. Jobs advised students not to let life pass by in boredom and to do what truly excites them, things that can bring happiness and meaning. Jobs didn't waste time on meaningless things. He dedicated his entire life to creating products that changed the world, and these products still have a profound impact today. When you live with the understanding that life is short, you will realize that each day is an opportunity to live fully and not waste it. Life is too short for us to spend time on unhealthy relationships, work that doesn't inspire us, or things that don't bring value. Knowing what you truly want and choosing the important things to invest your time in is a key factor in living a happy life. Tony Robbins, one of the world's most famous life coaches, emphasizes the importance of focusing on what truly matters. He once shared that one of the most important decisions in his life was learning how to let go of things that didn't add value so he could put all his energy into things he was passionate about. Robbins let go of many opportunities to pursue things with long-term meaning, building a career that has helped millions of people change their lives. Similar to Tony Robbins, when you identify what matters most in life, you will no longer waste time on things that have no value. This could be building sincere relationships, learning to grow personally, or dedicating yourself to a greater mission. Many people live their lives thinking they need to achieve a final goal in order to feel fulfilled. However, the reality is that life is not just about reaching a destination, it's about the experiences along the way. Don't get caught up in the cycle of chasing success, and forget to enjoy the journey. John Wooden, the legendary basketball coach of UCLA, once said, "We cannot predict success, but we can control our efforts." He didn't focus on measuring success by victories or medals. Instead, he focused on developing each individual in the team, encouraging them to keep striving and giving their best. This shows that the greatest goal in life is not the destination but the process of learning, growing, and experiencing. When you realize that life is short and precious, you will find joy in each moment, rather than obsessing over a final goal. You will learn to live more fully, not just through success, but also through lessons from failures and memorable experiences. Many of us live our lives according to the expectations of society, family, or friends. We sometimes do things not because of passion, but because we feel we have to, or because we fear failure if we don't. However, Marcus Aurelius advises us that we should live true to ourselves, doing only what truly matters and brings us joy. The story of Eleanor Roosevelt, the First Lady of the United States and one of the most influential women in history, is a prime example. She once said, "Life is what you make of it, not what others make of it for you." Eleanor Roosevelt didn't live by society's expectations or existing norms. Instead, she devoted her life to fighting for women's rights, the poor, and minorities, because she understood that only by doing what you believe in does life truly have meaning. Like Eleanor Roosevelt, You too can find meaning in life when you live true to yourself and don't let life pass by in vain. Don't let yourself be swayed by things that don't matter and that aren't aligned with your values. One of the most important realizations when understanding that life is short is learning to appreciate what we have in the present. Instead of worrying about the past or the future, focus on living fully with what you have right now. The truth is that we never know what will come next, so we cannot change the past or be certain about the future. The only thing we have is the present, and only by living fully in this moment can we create meaningful memories and find true peace. Mahatma Gandhi, the great leader of India's independence movement, taught us that life is what we do with what we have. Gandhi lived a simple life, dedicating himself entirely to his ideals and goals, but he also sought peace in each moment of his life. Every day, he lived fully with what he had, not worrying about the future, nor regretting the past. When you realize that life is short, you will learn to appreciate the small things and find joy in the simple things. You will live without anxiety or regret, but full of satisfaction with what you have done and what you've experienced. Life is short and precious, and each day that passes is an opportunity to live fully and meaningfully. Marcus Aurelius was right when he reminded us not to waste time on meaningless things. Instead, focus on what truly matters: family, friends, passions, and core values. Live true to yourself, and don't let society or external factors control your life. When you realize the preciousness of time, you will learn how to make the most of every moment and live a full, happy, and meaningful life. Don't live as if you have millions of years ahead of you. Death is coming soon. Become the best version of yourself now. Marcus Aurelius. This quote from Marcus Aurelius is a powerful reminder of the impermanence of life and the urgency to live fully in the present moment. So often, we postpone the things that truly matter, thinking we have an abundance of time. We delay dreams, defer important conversations, and put off personal growth, as if time is endless. However, the truth is that death is inevitable, and none of us knows how much time we really have. This is why Marcus Aurelius urges us to stop procrastinating, to stop waiting for the perfect moment, and to become the best version of ourselves today. Life is fleeting, and we must act with the awareness that each day counts. To live a life that matters, to fulfill our potential, and to leave a meaningful legacy, we must embrace the reality that time is limited. Every day is an opportunity to take steps toward becoming the person we aspire to be. While it's easy to get caught up in the distractions of everyday life, it's important to remind ourselves that our time is precious, and it's never too early to start pursuing our purpose. Consider the life of Leonardo da Vinci. He was a polymath who achieved remarkable accomplishments in art, science, engineering, and many other fields. Da Vinci's work ethic and relentless pursuit of excellence were driven by the awareness that life was short, and he couldn't afford to waste time. He never settled for mediocrity, and his curiosity and thirst for knowledge knew no bounds. Da Vinci's life teaches us that, even with a vast range of interests and passions, it is possible to reach greatness when we approach life with the urgency of knowing that time is limited. He understood that waiting for the right time to pursue one's dreams is a trap. Each day is an opportunity to move closer to realizing our true potential. For many of us, the thought of death can be uncomfortable. It's easy to push it to the back of our minds and pretend it doesn't exist. But facing the reality of our mortality can be a powerful catalyst for growth and self-improvement. When we accept that our time here is finite, we are more likely to prioritize what truly matters. We become more intentional with our actions and decisions, knowing that each choice either brings us closer to becoming the best version of ourselves or takes us further from that goal. Take the story of the late Randy Pausch, a professor at Carnegie Mellon University, who delivered his famous last lecture after being diagnosed with terminal cancer. Knowing that he had only a short time left to live, Pausch shared powerful lessons on life, urging people to live their dreams and prioritize the things that matter most. Despite his diagnosis, Pausch continued to focus on inspiring others, encouraging them to pursue their passions and live with purpose. His lecture became a global phenomenon, reminding us that it is never too late to start living intentionally and striving for greatness. no matter the circumstances. We often think we have all the time in the world to change, to chase our dreams, and to improve ourselves. But the reality is that time waits for no one. Just as Marcus Aurelius advises, we need to live as though our time is limited, because, in the grand scheme of things, it is. There is no guarantee of tomorrow, and the future is uncertain. Procrastination is a thief of time, and we must learn to stop waiting for the right time to begin. The right time is now. This idea is echoed by the story of Malala Yousafzai, the youngest ever Nobel Prize laureate. After surviving an assassination attempt by the Taliban, Malala didn't wait to take action. She immediately became a global advocate for girls' education. Her bravery and commitment to her cause serve as a reminder that we should not delay our pursuit of what matters most. Malala didn't allow fear, trauma, or the passage of time to hold her back. She seized the opportunity to make a difference and fulfill her potential. When we realize that death is inevitable, we are prompted to live with urgency, but also with a sense of purpose. The knowledge that our time is limited encourages us to act decisively and make the most of the present moment. It reminds us that there is no perfect time to begin working on our dreams. What matters is that we start now, no matter how small the first step may seem. The Japanese philosophy of ikigai, which translates to a reason for being, aligns closely with this idea. It teaches that the key to a fulfilling life lies in finding something that you are passionate about, something that you are good at, something that the world needs, and something that you can be paid for. When we live with ikigai in mind, we start making decisions that align with our values, passions, and strengths. We stop procrastinating and start living with purpose. For instance, take the example of J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series. Before her success, she was living as a single mother on welfare, struggling to make ends meet. Despite her challenges, Rowling didn't wait for the ideal circumstances to pursue her writing. She started writing the first Harry Potter book on scraps of paper, knowing that the time was now, and that her dreams of becoming a writer could no longer wait. Her perseverance paid off, and today, her books are loved by millions worldwide. Her story is proof that we should not wait for the perfect moment or ideal conditions to pursue our passions. Start now, no matter the circumstances. One of the most powerful aspects of this quote from Marcus Aurelius is the invitation to become the best version of ourselves today, rather than postponing our growth for the future. The future is uncertain, and putting off becoming who we truly are only limits our potential. We are constantly evolving, and the version of ourselves that we are today should be better than the version we were yesterday. Growth happens in the present moment, not in the future. The story of Nelson Mandela is an inspiring example of someone who consistently worked to become the best version of himself, despite facing enormous adversity. Mandela spent 27 years in prison, but during this time, he worked on improving his character, studying, and preparing for the leadership role he would later play in ending apartheid in South Africa. When he was finally released from prison, he didn't waste any time. He immediately set out to heal a divided nation and fight for justice and equality. Mandela's life shows that no matter where we are in life, it is never too late to start becoming the person we aspire to be. Every moment is an opportunity to grow. When we start living with the awareness that time is limited, we make more deliberate choices. We stop wasting time on things that don't matter, and we start prioritizing things that truly contribute to our personal growth and happiness. Living this way means acting with purpose, cultivating meaningful relationships, pursuing our passions, and embracing the challenges that will help us become our best selves. The concept of death in Stoicism is not something to fear, but something to embrace as a motivating force. It serves as a reminder to live fully in the present and to make the most of our time on earth. Instead of seeing death as an ending, Marcus Aurelius and other Stoic philosophers viewed it as a natural part of the human experience, something that should encourage us to live virtuously and with intention. Ultimately, the key takeaway from Marcus Aurelius' advice is that life is precious, and death is inevitable. We must not wait for the perfect time to pursue our dreams, grow, or improve ourselves. The time is now. By acting with urgency and purpose, we can ensure that when our time does come, we can look back without regret, knowing that we became the best version of ourselves in the time we had. Life is fleeting, and the best way to honor it is by living each day to its fullest, always striving to improve, and always working toward our highest potential.